Hello everyone. So recently I made a video on getting a license, driving license in the UK, and I received a good response on that particular video. And I thought, okay, let me just talk a bit more about how to buy a car. So in this video, I want to talk about a few things that you should keep in mind when it comes to buying a car. I want to talk about what kind of car you should be looking at, and also at the same time, I just want to share my experience because I do own a car here in the UK. And in fact, I made one video on this channel. I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, where I showed you my car, and I also shared why I bought that car. Now, my recommendation would be, if you are, let us say, new in the UK, and if you have, let us say, a family, maybe uh, you have a kid or maybe two kids, let us say husband, wife, and two kids, then you should not buy a small car. I mean, when I say small car, I'm talking about a car with two doors. And yes, you can find cars with two doors. Of course, you have space on the back side, so it is not really a two-seater, it is indeed a five-seater car. But you might be tempted to buy a car with two doors because the insurance on that car uh, might be less. Okay, so let us talk about the budget. Now, I think you can get a decent car somewhere in the range of 1,000 and 2,000 pounds, and it also depends on from where and from whom you are buying a car. For example, if let us say I'm in a rush to sell my car, then I might sell it for cheap, and that is a possibility. You can sometimes get lucky, but give yourself a budget, like a fixed budget that you should aim for. Let us say £1,000, £1,500, something like that. But you should definitely be able to get a decent car in 1,500 or maximum £2,000 in the beginning. Of course, if you have more money, feel free to buy uh, an expensive car. Why not? Because there are a lot of options here. Now, if you have a family with you, um, then of course you would be using that car for traveling around. But at the same time, you will be using it for buying your groceries. And when it comes to groceries, you need good boot space. So when you're looking for a car, then definitely look for boot space. It should have decent boot space. Otherwise, it can be a problem. Uh, and when you buy your groceries, let us say if you go to Asda or Tesco twice in a month, you will have a lot of bags, and you need space to keep those bags. So do look for a good boot space. For example, I once had to get rid of my old fridge, so I basically put it in my car. Yes, I was able to do it, and I went to the skip, local skip. So here in the UK, there is something called as a skip where you can go and you can dump stuff. So I was able to do that because my car boot is quite huge, and I was able to basically drop the seats, passenger seats, on the back side, and then my fridge was able to fit in. So if you have good boot space, then it will always be comfortable for you. Now, from where you should buy your car? I think you should definitely look on autotrader.com, .co.uk, whatever it is. But at the same time, apart from AutoTrader, also look on Gumtree and also on Facebook. Facebook Marketplace is also good. So if you keep an eye on these sites, then you should definitely be able to get uh, something that will fit in your budget. Now, I would say that when you're trying to buy a car in the beginning, don't really rush. My recommendation would be to just, based on your budget or based on some other parameters, like maybe if you are looking for a manual car, if you're looking for a petrol car, don't worry too much about the brand. I mean, if you want, yeah, why not? But set alerts on these sites so you will get notified, and don't rush for it. Now, when you're trying to buy a car, you should also do some research about the car that you're aiming to buy. Let us say if you're trying to buy some old Nissan car, or maybe if you're trying to buy Hyundai or whatever, make, model, whatever, just do some research about that particular car and also the year. Now, when you buy a car, or let us say when you see a posting on Facebook or maybe Gumtree, in most cases you should also be able to see the number plate. And good thing about cars here in the UK is that you can also check the MOT status of those cars, or in fact the status of the car online. Bare minimum, you should definitely check the status of the car. I mean, the MOT status of the car, and you can also check the MOT history, because when you look at the MOT history, you can actually understand how many times the MOT failed. So MOT is nothing but a test that every car, or at least every old car, has to take. So I got my car's MOT last week, I guess. So if anything is wrong with the car, or maybe if the car is not roadworthy, then it will show on the MOT. So by looking at the MOT, you can actually get a very good idea about the history of the car. And also you can check. I think if you pay like £5 or 10-ish pounds, you can also check. So once you're ready to buy a car, you can check the status of the car, because sometimes the cars could be stolen, or if the car has been written off. So you can actually check all these things online. Now, uh, talking about the mileage, I think you should aim for, depending, again, it depends. I think you should definitely aim for something in the range of 50,000 miles. Not, I mean, again, some cars are good, and maybe if they have more mileage, let us say if the mileage is 70,000, 80,000, 100,000, then it could be fine. But if you're not massively familiar with cars, then to be on a safer side, aim for something in the range of 50,000 miles. That is what I did for my car. And also, if you again, if you're like me, if you don't really know a lot about cars, then try to go for Japanese makes, because they are not really fancy cars. For example, my car is Nissan Almera, and it is a wonderful car, very very reliable car, never really give me any trouble. So go for Japanese brands if you are not really sure. And if you're, let us say, coming from India, then in India you might be driving, and if you're driving in India, at least in Delhi, you also need a license, right? Not license, not only license, but you also need insurance. Now, usually in India, there is a concept of no claim bonus. So every year, your I mean, for example, if you have insurance for 5 years, or if you have been driving for 5 years or 10 years, then on your insurance letter, you will see this no claim bonus. Now, good thing about here in the UK is that you can, when you try to, so after you have bought the car, you can, of course, talk to your insurance. So you have to get insurance here, and you can actually tell them that I have been driving in India for 10 years, and I don't really have any no claim, or I don't really have any claims in the last 10 years. Can you give me some no claim bonus, or can you please reduce my insurance? Because in the beginning, uh, because you let us say you just got your license in the UK, or maybe you're driving on your Indian license, then you will be considered as a new driver here. So you will actually pay more insurance. But if you can convince them, they might consider those no claim years from your Indian insurance. So do carry it with you. Also, so when you go for the inspection, make sure you check. You might not know about each and every aspect of the car, and you might not be able to afford to take a mechanic with you, although you can. But bare minimum, check things like all the buttons are working, all the windows are working, and basic things that you have on the dashboard, they are working fine. Check, of course, the condition of the car, because sometimes the pictures can be misleading. So spend some time looking at the car, do some inspection, and also, of course, start it if you're able to drive it. Or if you're not able to drive it, then ask the person to give you a ride, and you can get some sense about the, I mean, because when the car is not in a good condition, there is always some noise. So there shouldn't be any noise. It should be quiet. It should be smooth. Don't really make an offer which is stupid. Otherwise, you will look stupid. For example, if you have, uh, let us say, decided to go and take a look at a car, you have been in touch with that particular person who is selling the car, and the price mentioned on the post is, let us say, £1,200, and you go and offer them £800, then it is never really going to happen. So if you want to bargain, if you have any suggestion about the price, do it upfront, maybe when you're dealing with that person, online. And when you are like there, like when you are actually looking at the car, and when you're trying to make an offer, just just buy it if you think the car is good. And again, this is my opinion. And to be honest, don't worry too much about multi-owners, because you can actually find out about the multi-owners. You can actually ask the person, and usually there is a record of all the previous owners. Uh, it is never really a problem when you have multiple owners of the car, because in a way it can be a good thing, because sometimes uh, when people buy, let us say a car has or the car had maybe three owners. So for those three owners, it was like a new car. Maybe they bought it for 2 years and then they sold it, and they had the car only for 2 years and they took care of it. Usually, when I mean, again, there is no fixed criteria about how many number of owners a car should or shouldn't have. But if you see that okay, this car has been sold three times before, it's not a problem. Don't worry too much about it. So that is it. So that is all I wanted to share in this video. I thought I'll just give you some ideas, some tips, and hopefully it will help you to make a decision. And that is it. Bye bye.